There are moments when the world seems to demand more from you than you have to give. It pulls at your sleeves, whispers in your ear, begs for your energy, your thoughts, your time, and you, in the kindness of your heart, give and give, stretching yourself thin, pouring from a cup that was never meant to run empty. But have you ever stopped and asked yourself, what if I turned inward? What if I focused? There is a power in silence, a quiet strength in stillness. The world teaches you that you must always explain yourself, always defend, always announce your plans before they are even fully formed. But the most powerful moves are made in silence. The most profound transformations happen behind closed doors. A seed does not shout as it breaks through the soil, and the sun does not declare its rise before it brightens the sky. Growth does not seek attention, and neither should you. People will demand to know what you are doing, where you are going, why you are changing. They will press and pry, not out of love, but out of curiosity, sometimes even envy. And in those moments, you must learn the art of silence. Speak only to those who understand the weight of your words, only to those who have earned the right to witness your journey. The rest will see your results when it is time. It is easy to become lost in the noise of the world, to measure yourself by the opinions of others, to let their voices shape your path. But you were not made to be a mirror, reflecting back what others want to see. You were made to be a force, an energy, a being with a purpose all your own. And that purpose requires focus. It requires discipline. It requires a silence so deep that even the whispers of doubt cannot find their way in. There is no need to announce your every move. No need to seek validation for the choices you make in the solitude of your own heart. What you do in silence will be seen in time. What you build in the darkness will shine when it is ready. There is no rush. There is no competition. There is only you, your journey, and the quiet work that will take you where you are meant to go. Some will say you have changed. Let them. Some will question your distance. Let them. Some will call it arrogance when it is only self-preservation. Let them. Those who are meant to walk with you will understand without explanation. Those who are meant to leave will misunderstand, no matter how much you try to make them see. Silence is not weakness. It is not avoidance. It is a power so rare that few ever master it. To hold your tongue when the world demands a response, to walk away when others expect you to fight, to build in the shadows while they watch the empty stages. This is strength. This is wisdom. When you focus on yourself, you become unstoppable. You stop seeking permission to live as you were meant to. You stop waiting for approval. You stop explaining your choices. You understand that your energy is sacred, that your dreams are fragile in their infancy, that your growth is not for public display until it is strong enough to stand on its own. There will be days when it feels lonely, when you wonder if the silence is too heavy, if the solitude is too much. But growth is never a crowded road. Those who seek greatness must first walk alone. And in that walking, in that focusing, in that silence, you will find something more valuable than approval. You will find yourself. There is a weight to solitude, a depth to stillness that few are willing to embrace. It is in the quiet that you meet yourself, that you come face to face with every hidden part of you, the dreams that have been buried, the fears that have been ignored, the strength that has been waiting to rise. But the world has trained you to fear the silence, to run from it, to fill every empty space with noise, with conversation, with distractions. It tells you that to be alone is to be forgotten, that to be silent is to be weak. But that is the greatest deception of all, for it is in the silence that you reclaim your power. There is no strength in explaining yourself to those who have already decided to misunderstand you. There is no wisdom in defending choices that were never meant to be debated. You do not owe the world a roadmap to your destiny, nor do you owe explanations for the steps you take in pursuit of your purpose. Not everyone will understand why you choose to walk away from certain conversations, why you choose to guard your dreams with the ferocity of a lion protecting its young. But understanding is not required for your success. Agreement is not necessary for your growth. You must learn to sit in the quiet and trust that your path is unfolding exactly as it should. You must resist the temptation to announce every victory before it is secured, to share every plan before it has taken root. There is a sacredness to the work that is done in silence, a divinity in the transformation that takes place when no one is watching. And though the world will try to convince you that progress must be public to be real, you must know that the most powerful changes happen in secret. You do not see the roots of a tree pushing through the earth, but they are there, growing stronger, expanding beneath the surface, unseen but undeniable. And when the time comes, when the foundation is firm, the tree rises, tall, unshaken, unbothered by the opinions of those who never noticed its beginning. That is how you must grow. That is how you must build. It is tempting to seek validation, to look around and measure your worth by the reactions of others. But that is a dangerous game, for people are fickle. They will praise you one day and question you the next. They will support you when it benefits them and turn away when your growth makes them uncomfortable. If you live for their approval, you will die by their rejection, and you are not made to be controlled by the shifting winds of public opinion. There is a power in knowing that you are enough without applause, that your dreams are valid even if no one else sees them yet. There is a strength in walking away from conversations that do not serve you, from relationships that drain you, from environments that stunt your growth. The more you focus on yourself, the more you will recognize what deserves your energy and what does not. And when you make that choice, when you decide that your peace is worth more than being understood, you will find a freedom that few ever experience. They will wonder why you have changed, why you no longer explain yourself, why you no longer fight for a seat at tables that were never meant for you. Let them wonder, let them talk, let them assume. Their opinions are not your burden to carry. Your only responsibility is to yourself, to your purpose, to the path that has been set before you. And if that path requires silence, then so be it. If it requires solitude, then embrace it. If it requires distance, then create it. Some people will call it arrogance, others will call it selfishness, but those who truly understand the journey of self-mastery will recognize it for what it is, power, not the kind that seeks to control others, but the kind that refuses to be controlled, the kind that does not shrink to fit into spaces that were never meant to hold something so vast, the kind that does not waste time arguing with those who have no intention of listening. Not everyone will be happy for you when you begin to focus on yourself. Not everyone will celebrate your decision to move in silence. Some will resent you for it because your growth will remind them of their stagnation. Your discipline will expose their lack of it. Your success will force them to question why they have not yet reached their own. And rather than looking inward, rather than doing the work, they will project their discomfort onto you. But that is not your concern. You must keep going. You must keep building. You must keep trusting that the silence is working in your favor, that every moment spent in self-reflection, in discipline, in quiet dedication, is shaping you into the person you were meant to be. There is no need to prove yourself, no need to explain, no need to seek approval from those who were never meant to understand your journey in the first place. There will be moments when doubt creeps in, when the silence feels unbearable, when you question whether you are on the right path. That is the test. That is the moment when most people turn back, when they abandon the work, when they trade the long-term reward for short-term comfort. But you must resist. You must remind yourself that silence is not emptiness, that solitude is not loneliness. They are the tools that sharpen you, the fire that refines you, the space where your true self is revealed. Stay focused, stay silent. Let the results speak for themselves. Let the work you do in private make its way to the surface in its own time. And when it does, when they finally see what has been building all along, there will be no need for explanations, no need for validation, no need for approval, because by then it will be undeniable. You were never meant to be ordinary. You were never meant to fit into the mold that others tried to place you in. You were made to rise, to grow, to become. And that becoming happens in the quiet. It happens when no one is looking. It happens when you decide that your purpose is greater than their opinions, that your future is worth more than their approval. So hold your tongue, guard your vision, protect your energy, and remember that the most powerful transformations do not announce themselves. They simply happen, and when they do, the world will have no choice but to take notice. There is something unsettling about silence, something that makes people nervous. They fidget, they glance around, they fill the air with words, even meaningless ones, just to break it. But those who understand the value of silence do not fear it. They embrace it. They know that within silence lies power, clarity, and the ability to control the energy that surrounds them. It is not about shutting the world out, nor is it about pride or arrogance. It is about focus. It is about preservation. It is about understanding that every word spoken carries weight, and that not everyone deserves to hear the plans you whisper to yourself in the quiet of the night. There are those who move loudly, always announcing their every step, seeking validation for every decision they make. They spread themselves thin, scattering their energy in every direction, hoping that someone will affirm their choices. But their words often return empty. Their energy dissipates before it can create anything meaningful. They mistake noise for progress, conversation for transformation, attention for success. But the strongest, the wisest, the most disciplined among us understand that real power moves in silence. It does not rush to be seen. It does not beg for recognition. It grows in the unseen places, nurtured by patience and fueled by a determination that needs no audience. People will always have opinions. They will always have something to say about the way you move, about the way you change, about the things you choose to keep to yourself. But their words do not define you. Their misunderstandings do not require your correction. You do not have to justify your growth to those who never intended to grow themselves. The more you focus on yourself, the less you will find the need to explain. Your energy is a currency, and you cannot afford to spend it on every passing thought, on every person who demands a response from you. There is freedom in walking away from conversations that do not serve your spirit. There is strength in letting them assume, letting them wonder, letting them talk while you work. Not everyone is meant to know your next move. Not everyone should have access to the depths of your mind, to the dreams that keep you awake at night, to the visions that stir your soul. Some will not understand them, others will envy them, and some will try to sabotage them before they even have the chance to bloom. That is why silence is necessary. That is why focus is essential. Because when you are building something great, it must be protected. It must be nurtured away from the eyes that do not know how to appreciate its worth. You do not owe anyone an explanation for the things you do in the name of self-preservation. You do not have to defend your decision to step away, to turn inward, to pour into yourself before pouring into others. The world may call it selfishness, but wisdom calls it survival. You cannot grow if you are constantly seeking approval. You cannot move forward if you are always looking sideways, wondering what they will say, how they will react, whether they will understand. True growth requires a willingness to disappoint others, to be misunderstood, to walk alone for a time if necessary. Some will resent your silence. They will see it as rejection, as an insult, as something personal. But that is not your burden to carry. Those who truly care for you will not need to hear from you constantly to know that you are growing, that you are becoming, that you are doing the work. They will understand that transformation happens in the unseen, that the best things take time, that real change is not rushed nor explained, it is simply lived. The greatest victories are the ones that speak for themselves. When the weight you carry becomes lighter, when the battles you once fought no longer shake you, when you walk into a room and your presence alone commands respect without you having to say a word, that is when you will know that the silence was worth it. That is when you will see the reward of choosing yourself over the noise, of choosing focus over distraction, of choosing the long game over the temporary applause of the crowd. There is a season for speaking, for sharing, for teaching, but there is also a season for silence, for guarding, for keeping your energy sacred. And wisdom is knowing the difference between the two. Some will say that you have grown distant. Let them. Some will say that you think too highly of yourself. Let them. Some will try to pull you back into the noise, into the constant need to explain, to prove, to seek approval. Do not fall for it. They do not understand what it means to truly build something that lasts. They will see your silence as a mystery, an arrogance, a rebellion against their expectations. But what they fail to realize is that it is none of those things. It is peace. It is clarity. It is strength in its purest form. It is the decision to choose yourself, to protect your vision, to move at your own pace without feeling the need to justify it. There is something almost sacred about staying silent while you work, about resisting the urge to announce your every move, because in that silence you are given the space to truly become, without interference, without judgment, without the distractions that pull so many off course. When you focus on yourself, the world does not stop moving. The opinions do not disappear, but you stop needing them. You stop seeking the validation that once controlled you. You stop explaining yourself to people who never truly listened in the first place. That is the freedom that comes with silence. That is the strength that comes with focus. You will not find it in the approval of others. You will not find it in loud declarations. You will find it in the quiet, in the stillness, in the discipline of turning inward and trusting that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. Those who do not understand your journey will always have something to say about it, but their words do not change your purpose. Their questions do not demand your answers. Their doubts do not require your reassurance. Focus on yourself. Stay silent. Let the results speak. Let the work be your response. Let the success be your voice. Because when it is time for the world to know, they will. And when they do, there will be nothing left to say. There is a weight that comes with choosing yourself, a heaviness that settles in when you realize you are no longer moving to the rhythm of others' expectations, but instead following the quiet, steady beat of your own purpose. It is not an easy path, not one that comes without resistance. When you decide to focus on yourself, to withdraw from unnecessary conversations, to silence the noise that once dictated your every step, you will find that people begin to notice. They may not always understand, and in their misunderstanding, they may judge, they may criticize, they may try to pull you back into the spaces you have outgrown, but you must not let them. Growth requires separation, transformation requires solitude, and mastery requires silence. The greatest battles are won long before the world knows they have been fought, and the strongest warriors do not speak of their strategies before the victory is already theirs. You do not need to announce your every step, nor do you need to explain why you are no longer engaging in the same conversations, why you have become more distant, why you are not so quick to respond to the demands of those who never truly valued you in the first place. Let them assume what they will. Let them create their own stories. The truth does not need defending, and your energy is far too valuable to be wasted on people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Not everyone will be happy for you when you choose to elevate yourself. Some will be threatened by your silence, unnerved by your focus, unsettled by the way you no longer seek their approval. But that is not your concern. Your concern is the work, the discipline, the quiet transformation that is taking place within you, unseen but undeniable. There will be days when the solitude feels overwhelming, when the silence you once craved begins to feel like isolation. But do not mistake loneliness for lack of progress. The seed beneath the soil does not panic in the darkness. It does not beg for the sun before it is ready. It stays hidden. It takes its time. It pushes downward before it ever rises up. And when it finally emerges, when it finally breaks through the surface, it is not because it sought validation, but because it was prepared, because the foundation had been laid, because the process had been respected. Your growth will be the same. It will not always be seen. It will not always be understood. It will not always be celebrated, but it will be real, and it will be worth it. People will tell you that you have changed, that you are no longer the person they once knew, and they will be right. You were never meant to remain stagnant. You were never meant to stay in the same cycles, entertaining the same distractions, repeating the same mistakes. Change is not a betrayal of who you were, it is a fulfillment of who you were meant to become. Those who are committed to their own stagnation will resent your transformation, not because you have done anything to them, but because your growth reminds them of their own unwillingness to evolve. Do not shrink yourself to make them comfortable. Do not silence yourself just because your presence now speaks louder than their words. Keep moving, keep building, keep trusting in the power of your silence. There is no need to prove yourself to anyone. There is no need to explain your decisions to those who were never meant to understand them. Those who are truly meant to walk with you will not need constant updates. They will not need reassurances. They will not demand explanations for the steps you take in the direction of your destiny. They will trust the process even if they do not see the full picture. They will support the vision even if they do not yet understand the details. And those who do not, they were never meant to have access to the journey in the first place. Not everyone deserves a seat at the table of your transformation. Some people only want to watch so they can judge. Some people only want to listen so they can criticize. Some people only want to be close enough to see, not because they wish you well, but because they wish to measure their own lives against yours. Choose wisely who you allow in your space. You will begin to notice that as you focus on yourself, the things that once felt important begin to lose their power over you. The opinions that once controlled your actions become irrelevant. The need to explain, to be understood, to be accepted by people who never truly valued you in the first place will fade. You will start to see yourself differently, to recognize your worth outside of external validation, to understand that the only approval you ever needed was your own. That is the power of silence. That is the gift of solitude. It strips away the noise, the distractions, the false attachments, and leaves you with only what is real, what is true, what is necessary for your growth. People will notice your silence before they notice your success. They will see the distance before they see the results. And in that space of not knowing, they will assume, they will speculate, they will create their own narratives. Let them. Their words are not your concern. Their opinions are not your responsibility. You are not here to be understood by everyone. You are here to become who you were meant to be. And sometimes that requires silence. Sometimes that requires distance. Sometimes that requires walking away from conversations that no longer serve you, from relationships that drain you, from environments that no longer align with your purpose. There is something powerful about watching someone who was once controlled by the opinions of others step into their own power, move in silence, focus on their growth without the need for validation. That is a strength that cannot be taught, a discipline that must be earned, a wisdom that only comes from experience. Not everyone will understand it, but that is not the point. The goal was never to be understood. The goal was to evolve, and evolution does not seek permission. It does not wait for approval. It does not explain itself before it happens. It simply becomes. There will be those who question your silence, who wonder why you no longer react the way you once did, why you no longer engage in the same conversations, why you no longer explain yourself every step of the way. But you owe them nothing. Your silence is your power, your focus is your strength, and your growth is your response. The day will come when the results speak louder than any words ever could, when the work you did in the dark is revealed in the light, when the transformation that was once hidden becomes undeniable. And when that day comes, there will be nothing left to say, because by then, the silence will have already said it all. The greatest power you will ever hold is in what you choose to keep to yourself. The world does not teach this. It teaches that you must always be seen, always be heard, always be explaining, always be proving. But those who move with wisdom understand that silence is not just the absence of words, it is the presence of control. When you choose to keep your plans guarded, when you decide to focus on your own path without the weight of outside opinions, you reclaim every piece of energy you once carelessly gave away. You stop leaking your power into conversations that serve no purpose, into people who were never meant to handle the weight of your dreams. You begin to understand that some things are not meant to be shared too soon, that there is a season for everything, and the season for speaking is not always now. The world will always ask questions. Where have you been? What are you doing? Why are you not as open as you once were? And in those moments, the temptation to explain, to justify, to ease their curiosity will rise within you. But resist it, not because you are hiding, not because you are afraid, but because not everyone needs access to your becoming. Some only want to know so they can judge. Others only want to listen so they can criticize. And some will pretend to support you while secretly hoping to see you fail. Silence protects you from all of it. It keeps you centered. It keeps you focused. It keeps your energy from being scattered into places where it does not belong. There is an old saying that you should never speak on a move until it has been made. There is wisdom in this, wisdom that many overlook. When you announce your plans too soon, you expose them to energies that may not be in alignment with them. You allow fear, doubt, and negativity to enter where they do not belong. You invite questions that plant uncertainty in your mind. You give people the opportunity to project their own limitations onto you. And before you know it, the seed of doubt has been sown, not because you lack belief in yourself, but because you let the wrong people into the sacred space of your dreams. Not everyone is meant to know what you are working on. Not everyone is meant to see your progress in real time. Some things are meant to be built in the dark, in solitude, in stillness, where only you and the work exist. The tree does not rush to show its roots. The caterpillar does not reveal its transformation until it is complete. The most powerful changes happen in secret, not because they are meant to be hidden forever, but because they must be protected until they are strong enough to stand on their own. Your growth is no different. It requires privacy. It requires discretion. It requires a level of self-control that few possess, the ability to know when to speak and when to remain silent. Some will mistake your silence for arrogance. Let them. Some will take your distance as a sign that you have changed. And you have. That was the goal. You were never meant to stay the same, never meant to keep explaining yourself to those who only listen to respond, never meant to keep proving your worth to people who will never see it. The moment you decide to focus on yourself, the moment you choose to move differently, the world will react. They will wonder why you no longer seek their validation, why you are no longer so available, why you are not as eager to share every detail of your life. And in their wondering, they will create their own answers. Let them. Their assumptions are not your concern. Their opinions do not alter your path. There is peace in moving in silence. No one can ruin what they do not know about. No one can interfere with what they cannot see. No one can speak against what they have not been made aware of. And when the time comes, when the work is finished, when the transformation is undeniable, there will be no need for explanations. The results will speak for themselves. The growth will be evident. The change will be so profound that words will no longer be necessary. And by then, those who doubted, those who questioned, those who assumed will have no choice but to see the truth for what it is. Some people will resent your silence, not because they care about you, but because they were accustomed to having access to you. They were used to knowing your thoughts, your struggles, your every move. And when you take that access away, when you shift your focus inward, they are left with nothing but their own thoughts, their own insecurities, their own reflections staring back at them. This is why focusing on yourself often reveals who truly values you and who only valued what they could take from you. Pay attention to who remains when you are no longer easily available. Pay attention to who respects your space, who honors your growth, who understands that silence is not distance, it is discipline. When you choose to focus on yourself, you begin to notice things you never paid attention to before. The conversations that once drained you become unbearable. The people who once distracted you become irrelevant. The places that once felt comfortable begin to feel suffocating. This is the price of growth. It is not always easy. It is not always celebrated, but it is always necessary. You will have to walk alone at times. You will have to sit in silence while others move loudly. You will have to trust that what is being built in the unseen is more valuable than anything that could be prematurely revealed. They will ask why you are so quiet, why you no longer engage in the same conversations, why you no longer entertain the same distractions, and you will not need to answer. Because by the time they realize the reason, it will already be too late. The work will be done, the transformation will be complete, and you will no longer be where they left you. You will have moved forward, not out of spite, not out of arrogance, but because you chose to honor yourself above their expectations. People will always talk. They will always have something to say. Whether you move in silence or announce every step, whether you stay the same or grow beyond recognition, there will always be voices in the background trying to dictate your journey. The difference is in whether you choose to listen. The difference is in whether you allow their words to hold weight in your life. When you learn to focus on yourself, when you learn the value of silence, when you master the art of moving without seeking permission, you become untouchable, not because challenges will not come, not because doubts will never arise, but because you will have built a foundation so strong that no amount of outside noise can shake it. Growth is not about proving anything to anyone. It is not about announcing every victory, sharing every setback, or seeking applause for every step taken. It is about becoming so secure in who you are, in where you are going, that outside opinions become irrelevant. It is about understanding that silence is not emptiness, it is strategy. It is about knowing that some of the most powerful moves are the ones made without an audience. There will be moments when the silence feels uncomfortable, when you wonder if you are on the right path, when the desire to share, to explain, to prove yourself rises within you. But in those moments, remember that everything meaningful takes time, that the greatest transformations happen in the dark, that the work you do in private will always show itself in public when the time is right. Stay focused, stay silent, let them wonder, let them talk, let them assume. Because when the results come, when the success is undeniable, when the growth is so evident that even those who doubted must acknowledge it, there will be no need for words. The silence will have already said it all. The power of silence is often misunderstood, but those who master it become unstoppable. When you focus on yourself and resist the urge to explain, prove, or seek validation, you reclaim your energy. You shift from reacting to creating, from explaining to executing. Silence is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is the understanding that your growth does not require an audience and your success does not need an announcement. Not everyone will understand your journey, and that is okay. Those who truly matter will not need constant access to you to believe in your vision. And those who question your silence were never truly invested in your growth to begin with. Let them assume. Let them wonder. Your results will speak louder than any explanation ever could. Discipline yourself to protect your energy. Be selective with your words, your time, and your presence. Move in silence, work in private, and let your success make the noise. When the transformation is complete, when the results are undeniable, those who doubted, questioned, or misunderstood will have their answers. But by then, you will be too far ahead to hear them. The silence will have already said everything that needed to be said.